So we're going to start this course now, and we're going to create our first image. And first I want to talk about some tools here. We have the selector tool we're going to be using, the rectangle and square tool, and then we're going to dive down here to the fountain fill, and I'll show you how to use that. We also have the text tool that is located here. There are some other tools here that you can play around with when you get the time, but we won't go into that right now. We will go into alignments and some other little tricks that we have here, like drop shadows. So let's begin this part of the course. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an image, and that image will be red. Right now what you're seeing is the transparency is not 100%. To control transparency, there's this area right here. You'll see it says 59. You'll see me mousing over it. In order to increase it, you just click the up arrow and the opacity will increase. But for now, we're going to lower it and so it can be a little bit more transparent. We're going to click on the selection tool, and we're going to change the size of the actual main banner. We'll call this the main banner. This is the entire area here. And make sure that you don't have this lock on, because we're going to use change the width, which would be here. We're going to change that to 2570, and you can click enter after you do that. And then we're going to change the height to 430. So we're going to go to 430, and what this does is it gives you an actual safe area. Now we're going to align this to make sure that it's centered to the page. So we're going to click on object up here. The object tab will drop down, and we'll go all the way to the bottom to align and distribute. And you need to align relative to the page. There are other things in here, but make sure you mouse down and make sure it's page. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to center it to the page, and then we'll center it vertically. So now you notice it's sitting over the actual template. The reason why I wanted to do this is to make sure that you know that the template sits there and it's sitting right over the main banner. We're going to close this out. Let's get that closed out so we can see what we're working with here. Now, let's remember that there is the opacity. We won't change that yet because we're going to do a couple other things before we do that. So I need something to put in the center here. We're going to use something real simple. So I'm going to take this logo here, and I'll put it directly in the center. So we're going to duplicate it. So how you duplicate it is Control D, and then you can move it. I'll show you again. Control D. There's also Control C, Control V, or Command C if you're on a Mac, and you can do the same thing. So there's multiple smart keys that you can use. So we're going to get the extra one out of there, and we're going to group this one. So how you group it is you mouse over it. Make sure you're using the selector tool, which is here, and we'll mouse over it to select all of it. And then we'll go Control G. So that will actually, let's make sure it's all together. Is it all together? No. Okay, I got it. So I'm going to go Control G, and now it's all together. You notice that there. So we're going to make this a little bit bigger because we don't want it to be small when it's sitting up on the YouTube channel. So we'll go ahead and go back to Object, which is located here. Click it. You get the drop down. Align and distribute. Make sure it's relative to page. You center it and center it again. So use the top one, which is for vertical access, and the bottom one, which is for horizontal access. Now at this point, we can click back here by selecting it, and we're going to use the selector tool to select that, and we're going to change the opacity so it's solid. At any time you can change that. We'll close this out, and what we're going to do is we're going to take parts of this logo and we're going to do something creative. So I'm going to grab this here, and I'm going to Control D again for duplicate. So let's duplicate it. And we're going to change that color to red. And we're going to increase the size. Now you can grab the little arrow nodes to make it bigger. So I want this to be about the same size. We're going to use 2 of them. So I duplicate it with Control D, slide it over, and I'm going to flip this one. So there's this little flip tool up here. It's just a button that flips the objects vertically, or you can flip it left or right. So we're going to just flip it vertically. So now that's located, and we're going to put that right about here. And the other one we'll put up top, right about here. So I'm going to group both of them. So I'm going to group it, and I'm going to send it to the back. Now how you send it to the bottom layer is up here at the top. There's 4 buttons. This one's to send it to the bottom layer. This is to send it down step by step. This is to send it up to the top of the layer step by step. And this is to send it directly to the top of the layer. So we got this one here down to the bottom. We want to get the other one. But first we're going to crop it. Or not crop it. We're going to group it. I got that grouped. And I'm going to click Control G and it groups it. So we're going to send it to the bottom layer, and then we're going to get out of here. Now the next part is the entire screen area. There's many things that you can do with this, but what we're going to do right now is we're going to delete the template. So you just click on Desktop Max or whatever it is there, and you can delete the entire template that's there. We don't need it anymore. We have the base of the design. It's already there. So we're going to create our background. So I'm just going to stretch it out. And for now, I'm going to make it black. And the size we need to go back. What happens is once you select a tool, you're stuck on that tool. So just remember that. So we need the selector tool to go back so we can change the sizes. So we're going to make it 2600. I know it sounds a little, well, it's actually larger than the actual layout area, but I'm going to show you why you can do this. So we're going to make this one 500. Wait, excuse me, 1500 for the whole area. And you can just click enter, but remember, do not have this locked. You don't need to have it. If you're going to do something that where you want to keep it square, then yeah, you need to have it locked, but in this case, no. So now we're going to go back to Align and Distribute by going to Object, and it'll drop down after you click on it. And remember, relative to page. And then we're going to drop it all the way to the background. And we'll close this out again. And now you see we're starting to get a semblance of a design. Not the greatest design, but that's okay. So the part we're going to work on now is we're going to use the fountain fill tool. And we're actually going to, and you can go any direction you want. I'm going to show you this. This looks pretty cool. So you can go any direction you want. And I don't like that, so we're going to go ahead and leave it like this. Go a little bit further down. Okay. And then we're going to use my favorite color, red. Obviously, I use it on everything. But anyway, and after you've done that, you go back to the selector tool and you can deselect that. So ultimately right now we're starting to get a general idea of what it's looking like. We have our safe area here, and that's pretty much done properly. And I want to make sure that we've aligned that correctly. I'm looking at that now relative to the page. Yeah, we're perfect. So we got that. What we want to do is we're going to take additional info, and I'm just going to take the logo. I was going to take the whole thing, and I'm going to duplicate this here. Oop, grabbed it all. Here we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is duplicate, Control D, and then Control G to group it. So I can just drag the whole thing up there. So, and then if you want to change at any time, like the aspect ratios here, you can. That'll let you see the whole thing. But right now we have an issue, and that is the border. We can't see the border. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And we're going to go to File, and then all the way down to Document Properties. And in the Document Properties, they have a thing called Border on Top of Drawing. So you'll notice that the border is there. And that's the exact size of the YouTube channel art that we need it to be. So that gives you a little more perspective on the area that you're allowed to work in. So now we're just going to put this here. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to just put in something real simple. And I'll show you how to do that right now. Alright, so we have the text tool here. So you need to click on that. And for mine, I want to make the text white. And hopefully it does it. I think there it is. And push. Okay. Decide to be black. So we'll change that in a second. But there's two ways of doing this. Push your music like a pro. So we're going to click on the selector tool so we can make that a whole image. Alright, and then I need to go back and show you this real quick. In order to modify the font, you can go up here with this here. There's two ways in doing it, but this is the easiest way once you go back to the selector tool. And I'm going to use Arial Black Heavy. You can choose oblique, which oblique means italics basically, but that's an image term. So I've applied it, and then I'm going to make the image white. So you see me click down here. You can make it whatever color you want, green, blue, but we're going to keep it white. We're keeping this simple. So the next part of my task here is to find a place for this. Don't want to put it here. Nah, that's not cool. So we'll put it up here. And this is what people will see when they go to use like the smart televisions, this area here. So you could put your album cover over here and put like in stores now. You could put some other information here. This is a fairly simple design that I've done here, and we did it rather quickly. So yeah, let me get that. There it is. I want to try one more thing. Hopefully this software doesn't crash on me. I do all kinds of stuff with this. I can knock any software down. Okay. We're going to go into filters, and I'm going to show you the filters. And we're going to use the drop shadow. And all you got to do is click on filters, go to shadows and glows, and then you're going to go to drop shadow. And we're simply going to click on it, and it'll give you an example of what the drop shadow is going to look like. And if you like it, you click apply and then close out. Now, the main goal of this is to try to put as much information about your album or your music or your production work, your label, any of that stuff up here at the top. Because I can tell you right now, on a PS4 and on some smart TVs, the YouTube app will only show this area and parts of this area, probably around about to here. And that's all you're going to see. So we're going to leave this intact. Let's see, did I? No. Okay, and I'm going to show you a finished design that I completed. It took me about 5 hours to do because I had to do a lot of cut-ups and stuff like that, but it looks pretty cool. And this is for a group called Myth and Crack. I know, you know, he's a good friend of mine. He's got like Chris Calico and Royce da 5'9" on his album. Not no big deal to me, but you know, he does have those major label artists on his album. I don't actively promote him. You will see it on our YouTube channel just for this course. This is the design I completed. It took me about 5 hours to do. The original design was done by Impact Designs, a good friend of mine, Keith Ducey. But this is what we came up with for them, and this is the design. So what we're going to do from this point is we're going to take this design and we're going to go over to YouTube to my personal account, and we're going to log in and we're going to upload it. And I'm going to show you how to upload your YouTube channel art properly.